Hello and welcome to the Savvy Corner. My name is Alisa and I'm a financial coach and consultant based in the UK. I make videos about personal and business finances, financial well-being and money mindset. If these topics or anything else related to money is of interest to you and you haven't done so already, please consider subscribing. I'd love to have you join the community. In today's video, I want to address a subject that is not mentioned very often, but is such an important factor in our financial situation, and that is lifestyle inflation. People who don't know what I do or don't quite understand what financial coaching is believe that I work with clients who are poor and I help them make more money. Only half of that is true. Yes, I do help people make more money, but most of my personal finance coaching clients don't have an income problem. Their problem is not that they're not making enough money, but that they're not keeping enough. So in their own words, the money seems to be slipping through their fingers or vanish into the ether. What's even more interesting, paradoxical even, is that the more money some people make, the less of it they can keep. Can you relate to that? If so, you've been hit by lifestyle inflation. Lifestyle inflation is the tendency to spend more as your income increases. And it's not just buying more expensive things, but buying more things in general. If when you were a student or a recent graduate, you were buying clothes from the high street, cooking and bringing your own lunches to uni or work, and you were using Dove shower gel, which costs £1, lifestyle inflation means that you are now earning more and therefore are buying clothes from retailers that are mid-range or even designer. You eat out a lot more and buy your lunch rather than make your own. And instead of the £1 shower gel from Dove, you now use L'Occitane almond shower oil, which costs about £20. You might also notice that you end up throwing away quite a bit of food. Maybe you refresh your wardrobe every season or buy spares for your favorite cosmetics just in case they get discontinued. This lifestyle inflation is on a lower scale. But what about your house, the furniture, your phone and other gadgets, your car? Did you upgrade those? Perhaps you even bought yourself a toy for the weekend ride? Yes, that was me in the photo, and yes, I am guilty as charged. Lifestyle inflation creeps up on all of us at one point or another. And there's nothing wrong with wanting things, better things that bring more comfort and pleasure into our lives. However, if this starts to happen to the detriment of our overall financial position, or you go into unnecessary debt to obtain these things, then it becomes a problem. So let's talk about that for a moment. Why do people buy more expensive things and buy more in general as their income increases? One reason is because they're looking for more comfort, more enjoyment, and perhaps an escape from the daily grind. Or maybe it is that they're so busy that paying for things or services gives them time to focus on other things. For example, paying for house cleaning frees up a few hours per month. These are the reasons we are all happy to admit to ourselves and to others. However, there are other reasons behind this behavior which we're not so comfortable talking about. I hinted on some of those in my previous videos on bad money habits, which I will link for you on the screen and in the description box. But these reasons could be the desire to prove our status or keep up with peers and friends, feelings of entitlement or I deserve it towards better things, and the illusion that we can afford to buy them now that our income is greater. This is a dangerous assumption that we can afford them. The consumerism culture that we live in and the rise of low interest or 0% interest credit cards creates an illusion of affordability, which can actually drive us to create more debt by buying more things or more expensive items. This underlines the paradox of lifestyle inflation. The more you earn, the poorer you get. Now, you might think this is an exaggeration, but I've seen it so many times with clients who, because they were using several debit and credit cards with different clearing dates, they couldn't easily see that their overall balance was negative and that their debt was growing consistently over time. The danger with lifestyle inflation is that it creeps up on us gradually until we reach a point where an increase in income won't actually make much of a difference to our financial situation. And of course, we don't want to end up in that position, so how can we avoid or at least mitigate lifestyle inflation? I am going to offer 3 suggestions. The first step towards overcoming anything is to become aware that it's happening. So far in this video, I've offered a few examples, and by now you might have a pretty good indication of what lifestyle inflation is and if it has creeped up on you or not. But if you're still not sure, there are multiple clues that can hint towards it. I find these to be the most common. The first, when I deserve it replaces I need it as the reason behind the purchase. The second one is having to consistently increase the limit on your credit card or not being able to pay down debt despite earning more money. Number 3 is making automatic purchases, and this can include renewals of subscriptions, and then not reviewing these purchases after a while to assess the value that those products or services bring you. And finally, the most obvious one perhaps, is to compare your cost of living now to the cost of living you had when you were earning less money. So being aware of these behaviors will be the first step towards addressing the issue. Some level of lifestyle inflation is normal though, especially if we consider the level of economic inflation, which is usually around 3 to 4%. So if you notice a slight increase in your cost of living, I wouldn't be too concerned about it. But there's still something you can do to prevent lifestyle inflation from happening in the future, and that is to take any increases in income and allocate them via automatic payment to your savings, your pension, investments, and so on. This is the easiest way to ensure that your expenses remain the same, as you won't get to use that extra money if you redirect it automatically towards something else. If, however, you discover that you have been hit by lifestyle inflation, then prevention won't apply to you. So the second thing I suggest you do after the awareness exercise is to identify what I like to call the main offenders. You risk becoming overwhelmed if you try to tackle everything all at once. So look for the 20% of your purchasing behavior that contributes 80% of the damage to your finances. Some of these offenders might be obvious just by taking a look at your bank statements, like for example buying designer items every few weeks. But other purchasing behavior might not come in large chunks of expenditure, but in smaller patterns that add up to a lot. So take your time to do this properly and look at your purchasing behavior for a longer period of time. Ideally, I would say at least 3 months. Once you have a list of your main offenders, you can apply the triple E principle: estimate, evaluate, eliminate. Estimate the impact that each of these offenders has on your finances and rank them in descending order, so from the greatest impact to the lowest impact. You can quantify the impact in percentage terms if you wish. So for example, if your expenditure on clothes is £500 every month and you are making £3,500 after tax, then the impact would be around 14%. The evaluation phase is the next step. What impact do these purchases have on you? Do you even enjoy the clothes? Do they look good on you? Do you even wear them? I wrote a case study on my work with a client who bought new clothes every month and never wore them. They were sitting there with the tags still on. I'll leave the link to that article below if you're interested in reading it. But the purpose of the evaluation phase is to compare the impact on your finances versus the impact those purchases have on you. If the personal impact does not justify the financial impact, then you'll know you've got a problem. And finally, depending on this evaluation, decide if you are going to eliminate a certain behavior or at least try to contain it within certain limits. So estimate, evaluate, eliminate. You might notice that when you first do this exercise, everything you buy will seem like a conscious choice that makes a great impact on you. This is why it's so important to know how to link your purchasing behavior with your own personal values and use these values to evaluate a buying decision. I'm not going to go into this in this video, but of course I've written an article about how to do this, which I will also link below. Okay, so let's remind ourselves of how to deal with lifestyle inflation. Number 1, awareness. Are we affected by it, and if so, in what ways? Number 2, the main offenders. Which 20% of your purchasing behaviors create 80% of the damage to your finances? And finally, the triple E principle: estimate, evaluate, eliminate. I hope you found this video useful, and if you did, please give it a thumbs up. And if you don't want to miss any new videos, consider subscribing and hit the notification bell. You might also notice that there are some suggested videos on the screen. I put them there because I believe they will help you be more informed and confident about managing money and your mind around it. So go check them out if you've got the time. That's it from me for today. I'll see you in the next one. Bye.